like we're rolling. Got you folding on my skin. Take your chance, this is it. Oh, na, na.
Look where we find ourselves once again. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the American Temple of Speed here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the finale of Season 30 for the International IndyCar League. 100 laps or 250 miles will make up today's contest on Indiana's world-famous oval. Joining me once again here in the commentary booth is none other than Sebastien Kinder. Now, one thing I want to ask you, Seb, before we get things going here, and I want to bring it to the forefront early on, is that recently we've sort of had a change to the way that Indy cars go racing here. Especially, you notice it more, I think, on this Indianapolis oval compared to other ovals potentially. But with that new hybrid system, which came in a few months ago, will that still play a big factor in today's race?
I mean, they already had a race last season with the new hybrid system, but what I want to add is that we also had quite a few other updates, including a boost of power to the car also recently, and also new aero parts. I think we have like a new aero ramps for the car, so that means like the car is still getting fresh new, and we're going to see some wicked speed in qualifying.
I've read and I've seen that the speeds are going to be a lot more accurate now, as you say, with that higher boost and with that update to the power of these IR18 Indy cars. And talking about updates, we have some fantastic updates alongside us in the broadcast side of things. Track cameras, as you saw there, trackcams22.com providing us with some fantastic angles, which you will be able to see throughout today's coverage. But from what I understand, that is qualifying done and dusted, Seb.
Indeed. So, Jack, I'll be taking the mic away from you, and we'll go through the starting grid for today's Indianapolis 250. The first row is composed of Rodin Ifting for velocityonlineracing alongside Dan Ensch. Second row will be David Street and Jason Lowe. In the rearview mirrors, they will be seeing Katie Pollack and Mike West. In the fourth row, we will have John Christensen and Ryan Bowles. David Zelensky and Rick Lovison forms row 5. Kellen Ford and Danny Alt forms row 6. Behind them, dead last is Mike Jensen, and he has a EOL for today because he won the race last week, Jack. Now, looking at the weather right now, it is quite cool. 20 degrees Celsius in the air, 21 degrees track temp, 5% humidity, and pretty much a negligible wind. So conditions, Jack, are very interesting.
Yeah, judging by the looks of those conditions on paper, sort of signals to me that this is going to be a very close contest. We often see here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, especially you tend to see more so in series that run open setups, where the pack tends to string itself out quite quickly because drivers tend to tune their cars to have lower downforce, which is less turns of wing, which you get more straight line speed. But then also, if you're following a car in front, you have less surface area on those wings to create the downforce to keep you close and running. And I think with the 21 degrees of track temperature and the 20 degrees of air temperature, coupled with that 1 mile an hour of wind, we'll see the pack stay very, very close together, at least for the opening few laps. And I think that we will be in for some very, very good close racing. But looking as we set off onto the formation lap, looking at the driver's standings, David Strid leads the way by 78 points over Jason Lowe. Mike West completing the top 3. One to look out for, though, John Christensen. 3 wins this season for him in his 4th position, 118 points off the championship lead at the moment. But I believe this has been one of the more stronger seasons for John Christensen a lot across the IndyCar board, let alone the International IndyCar Series, excuse me. But while we are on the formation lap, I would like to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor before we get going, which is Florida Urgent Rescue. His mission is to save animals from kill shelters and other urgent situations, take on tough cases, including dogs who have been hit by cars, who have gunshot wounds, embedded collars, cancerous tumours, other medical problems, reducing senior pregnant mums and mums with litters to focus primarily on rural sheltered with limited resources and try to help them. All you can need to find out is at www.floridaurgentrescue.org. Now, with that out of the way, as we see the field round turns 3 and 4, Seb, we're going to get things underway very, very shortly. And I'm looking forward to this one as the field comes off of turn 4. The pace car will go into pit lane, and it's going to be Rodan Eftink in the Velocity Online racing machine that puts pedal to the metal. And we are underway here at Indianapolis. A fantastic start from that Velocity Online racing machine, opening up the best part of, I'm going to say, 10 car lengths nearly into turn number 1.
Yeah, they were getting nasty in turn 1, the 2 following Rodan. I think it was Dan Inch and Jason Lowe, actually.
Yeah, running side by side, jostling for the best of the position. Jason Lowe and Dan Inch, they seem to settle into single file, with Dan Inch actually coming out best of that tussle. But do not be fooled. Jason Lowe is one fantastic driver. He's proved that time and time again, and no doubt he will be back under the rear wing of Dan Ench in soon laps and corners to come. Even look at this.
Yeah, 2 cars side by side up ahead. That will be very interesting coming to turn 1. John Christensen actually trying to get a move on Katie Pollack.
Drivers need to be careful, I think, here of going side by side too early in the race, especially when the field is so close together, because the last thing you want is what's opening up behind West in the 69. You can see the gap to Ford, Zelensky, Jensen, Bowles and Lovison behind is sort of opening up a little bit. And once you lose that envelope of draft, it's very, very tricky to gain it back, especially when you've got guys behind you that may not have the same idea that you might have to keep working towards the group in front.
Exactly. I mean, this is pretty much like a strategic race. And, I mean, spoilers, you're going to see 50 laps of just standard procedures, single file racing, 25 laps of, I don't know, saving fuel, and 25 laps of full gas.
Exactly, as there's been a change for the lead. Dan Ench takes the lead away from Roden Eftink. I don't think we quite caught that on the live cameras. Do excuse me if we did and I wasn't covering that, but on board with the Alzheimer's Association machine, these beautiful on-board cameras done by none other than the man himself, Julian Altena, who finds himself on the broadcasting side of things today. These amazing onboard cameras giving us a fantastic view of especially how these cars are set up. You see the tiny little wicker on the center of this rear wing from Dan Ench. That will provide a little bit more downforce than if it wasn't there, for example, and you can see that it's the most minute little flap. But when you're going 230 miles an hour, Seb, a little goes a long way.
A little goes a very long way, and that little flap also creates drag, Jack. So that means like increasing like the slipstream that these cars have. This will be very interesting, planning out the last lap passes.
Especially, and that's especially what comes with more drag is more fuel consumption, and potentially this could be something that we need to have a think about in today's race. With only 100 laps, you know, we're probably looking at, instead of the full 4 pit stops for the what you'd see in the Indianapolis 500, if we halve the distance, sure enough we will be halving the pit stops. So I would say we are looking at the best part of 2 pit stops in today's running if we get no cautions. And of course you can never predict cautions at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
It's quite unpredictable because this is a track that is brutal. Watch out for pit entry as well, Jack, if they're packed up like this.
100%. We've seen it come into play many times, not only in the sim racing world but in the real world as well. I think it was Scott Dixon that actually lost out on an Indy 500 win a few years ago because of a speeding penalty going through pit road. And it's one thing that I always say, Seb, in my broadcast that I cover. It's a constant toy of how much do you want to gain and how much do you want to risk, because realistically, if you lose 2/10 on a pit entry, I would much rather take that than lose 2 minutes having to serve a drive-through or a stop and go.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's the reason to. Yeah, that's the mindset that you need to have, especially like with such a packed race right now. But what would be also very interesting is like we are in week 13, so we had an update recently, and they changed how pit limiters work in game. So I think iRacing is more strict on pit speed limits, but we have like now the limiter being, if it's 97 kilometers per hour in the pit lane, the pit limiter will have you 97 kilometers per hour in the pits. So that will be interesting to follow too.
That's always been the way with certain cars in different series, I believe, on iRacing. Some of them would go slightly under, some of them would go bang on, and then there would also be a slight leeway that it would give you. As we actually ride on board here on the Buckley Do machine, this is Roden Eftink looking at the lead. Lifts out of it though, I think, Seb. You could hear the lift as he started to get closer to that 52 machine. I think this is definitely a strategic play from Eftink, because the last thing you want to be doing is punching a hole in the air. It's like the Tour de France, it's like cycling. You don't want to be the guy at the front punching the hole in the air, because you're wasting your energy, and that energy is fuel.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, you know, because with the way we have, you said like the fuel tanks, the fuel cells, if I remember correctly, are halved. So that means you still need to do a bit of fuel saving. I think like maybe you need to save 1 or 2 extra laps. You don't want to be at the front of the pack. So what Roden Eftink is perfect, and Dan Ench, well, maybe start thinking about maybe saving some fuel.
This is David Zaleski making a really routine pass on, I think that was Jensen behind, and that will be him up into 8th place, courtesy of the fantastic graphics that we actually do have here on the Velocity Online Racing channel. That will be courtesy of the custom IndyCar TV overlays by Andrew Schultz of SKS Graphics. We are forever grateful for him to be able to create these fantastic overlays, almost as good as the real thing, if not better than the real thing. I think to be able to have this in iRacing on an iRacing broadcast, I think adds that extra cool and wow factor, don't you think, Seb?
I mean, it adds to the realism of the broadcast. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Julian, please, I said some good now. Can leave me alone. No, just joking.
that is not the only thing that we have got helping us along with today's broadcast. Another few things to get off into what you can do at home for those watching to help follow along with today's action is the ATVO live timing by App Engineering GBR. I believe there is a live timing link in the description if you are more of a savvy viewer that likes to get an insight into what we see as a broadcast team, and that will give you the gaps, the intervals, best. So we see Strid with a pass for the lead. Sorry, I'm always missing the passes for the lead today. I'm talking about the wrong things at the wrong time. Dan Ench then drops down to second place, and David Strid says, okay guys, I'm going to take us to the front of this one. I want to pick up the pace. We'll see what I can do at the front of this one. And I think that would be a sigh of relief for Dan Ench for be able to for him to save a little bit of fuel behind the rear wing of that 48.
Exactly. Now, okay, he can be saving a bit of fuel, although I think the pits are coming soon, so that will be still complicated for Dan Ench, but some relief.
There's another pass.
Never mind.
Dan Ench retakes the lead into turn number 1, and maybe this is his statement in saying, look, David, let's try and get away from the rest of the pack here. We're sort of running the laps down at this point in the race. We're lap 12 out of 100. David Strid is in the fight for the championship, and he's your current championship leader with Jason Lowe 78 points behind. He sits in 4th, so at the moment, David Strid will be taking home the title, and it would be a really, really unfortunate day for him to end up losing that title, I think.
I mean, Jack, he has a 78-point lead. I think he pretty much clinched it.
Exactly. I think that it would be quite the scene for him to go out of this season with a DNF. So
unless Jack, if maybe Jack, I have an idea. I'm sorry. Let's check his attenuator, and if it's illegal, well, we'll block him. I don't know, like 50 points.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair idea. You could see a couple of drivers giving themselves a little bit more, I don't know if it's possible, but maybe giving themselves a little bit more hybrid boost or a little bit something like that. And if we find something, we'll give ourselves some Formula One style post-race drama, as that's been a theme in Formula One of late, with drivers getting reinstated, podiums taken away, and teams stealing trophies from other teams' factories as we ride on board with Dan Ench in the Alzheimer's Association machine. He's dropped a little bit further back than I think he has been in previous laps, and I think that this is another example of drivers managing not only their fuel but their tyre life as well.
We see Polak in 4th place. She had a brutal day yesterday evening in the and someone's ducking to the pits. That's probably Dan Ench.
That is going to be Dan Ench. Yeah, so that's the first driver to make the dive down pit road. Okay, so we need to make a note of that. That's 14 laps. If you spend most of the time punching the hole in the air for the rest of the field, you're looking at 14-ish laps, and expect a lot more drivers to come down pit road in the next 2 laps or so. We'll see how this stop will go for Dan Ench, and the rest of the field are sort of following suit. Not too much action going on out on track at the moment as he gets it stopped lovely in his pit box. He hasn't missed his marks. Little bit of wheel spin on the exit, gets the pit limiter re-engaged, and I don't think no tyres, I don't think. Yeah,
because I think here's the thing, Jack. I think they have like 5 or 6 tire sets, but if we have a 15 laps tank on a 100-lap race, you're looking at 2, 4, 6, 6 or 7 pit stops, and they probably don't have enough time for that.
So that's going to be so that then brings I think that brings to the forefront then how important tyre management will be, which you don't really see too often in these IndyCar races. It's usually, I think, fuel is king rather than tyre management, as this is now Strid coming into the pits 1 lap later. So, and there's a whole heap of cars, well, I think that was 2 or maybe even possibly 3 cars following him into pit road in the number 48 machine. So we'll wonder if they take tyres as well, as we see some side-by-side action, Seb.
Yeah. Cheeky side-by-side action in the pit lane. That's the thing. Ooh,
that was a little bit of a double take that from Jensen. That was a little bit. Did he lose where he was in the pits, do you reckon, or was that a sly move?
Probably that. He just like, wait, where am I? Where am I in the pits?
This is a replay of Jensen going into his pit box. Absolutely fine. He does take tyres, I believe. As the car goes up on the jacks, it looks like. You don't see the tyres vanish, but no. Maybe he didn't take tyres. I would imagine that you'd be able to see the tyres vanish and come back on the car from what I've seen in previous times when these Indy cars do change tyres, as Ryan Bowes is now going to make the move alongside.
I think you can tell who took tyres and who didn't take tyres based on pit times. Dan Ench, and we know he didn't take tyres, had a pit stop of 6.066 seconds. The rest of the field had pit stops around 8 seconds. So you know these guys took tyres. Dan Ench is the only driver for this pit cycle that didn't take tyres, Jack.
And that is, if you think about it, you may be sat there thinking, well, I wonder why. But if you think about how much time that car has spent in clean air with no dirty air in front of it, so it's going to be scrubbing its tyres less. He's going to be messing with the weight jacker, I would have thought, a lot less than the drivers around him, which would have helped his tyre life a huge amount compared to those stuck in the dirty air behind. And we'll see that with that 2 seconds, Dan Ench should be very, very far in front of the rest of the field. But although it looks like everyone has actually pitted and Dan Ench has now come out in third place, Seb, which I think that is something that I wouldn't have definitely expected.
Yeah, no, you had like technically Dan Ench, what he did only took fuel, so he went out on the heavier car on worn tires. Meanwhile, you had other drivers with the same tire life, but with a lighter car and draft. So that explains how Strid and Eftink are leading with over a second on this group with Polak and Ench swapping position, right as Eftink takes the lead, Jack.
Yeah, those two behind need to watch out on their way that they swap too much. I mean, it looked like they had it under control, but the last thing you want to do, as I mentioned earlier, is spend too much time going side by side, as this is a perfect example of how you do swap drafting, as Strid now takes the lead back from Eftink, and these two will be doing this routinely. So this won't be these guys having a massive titanic battle of the legends fight for the lead. This is going to be them working as a team, getting past each other, as we see now Eftink once again go past David Strid into turn number 1. And what this will do is this will boost the average lap speed of both cars. And what that will then do is hopefully, for their sake, open up a little bit more of a gap. And you mentioned about a heavy car on old tyres. Look how much Dan Ench has dropped away from Polak there in 4th place. Dan Ench is now dropping into the clutches of the likes of Jason Lowe, John Christensen and Bowles in the 25 as well. And he could well find himself towards the back end of the top 10 here, Seb, if he's not careful.
Yeah, but that's if all drivers today have to do a stint without taking tires, I would say I would prefer, Jack, to have to do this early on in the race so that I have all the tire sets I need for the end. I'd rather be at the end on fresh tires than on warm tires.
That is a very good point. So obviously for Dan Ench at the moment, it's a sense of damage limitation for the time being, just while he gets this used tyre stint out of the way. As you can see, he's about to lose another place to John Christensen, which will demote him down to 6th place. And now he's got a fairly big gap to the cars behind him. So hopefully now he can manage that gap to Christensen in front and maximise the draft compared to the amount of tyre life that he has left. But the last thing he wants to do is lose the draft to the cars in front, because once you do that, I think it's very, very difficult to make the recovery, even when everyone else will be on new or used tyres later on in the race, while you will be on new tyres. Excuse me.
And Polak actually got back onto that lead group. She had a rough day yesterday evening in the VOR in the next series, so looking to bounce back here.
As we ride on board now with Polak, this is in the 982 machine. He's currently sat in the 3rd position, sort of tucking out and making the most out of those two swap drafting in front. I think this is the most ideal place you can be at this point in the race, or at least it's where I would want to be, because you don't have to have the pressure of constantly swap drafting, but you can still have the benefits of the draft and do some all-important fuel saving.
236 miles per hour entering turn 1. That's not that bad. That's not far from what we're doing in qualifying.
Exactly. I think that would be, he'd be more than happy to sit there until the end of the race, as David Strid is your leader at the moment, although I doubt he will be in 10 seconds time. As you can see, Eftink once again go for the swap drafting, and David Strid has led 7 laps today. But expect that number to go up a little bit more, as Rodan Eftink has now led 8 laps today, as I believe he was leading just as we crossed the line there to start lap number 25 of 100. So we are 1/4 of the way through this Indianapolis 250-mile race for the finale of season 30 of the International IndyCar League. And if you like today's coverage and you want to see more, please do feel free to smash that like button, do subscribe and turn on all the bell notifications and all that lovely jubbly stuff for us, because it helps us out an absolute ton. The YouTube algorithm does not tend itself very kindly to those that do not have massive amounts of following. So any help that you would be willing to give to us today would go an absolute mile and a half and would be greatly appreciated beyond belief. And well, if you are sat there at home watching and you have a league that you would like to be broadcasted as well, do not feel hesitated to contact us here at Velocity Online Racing. Our custom IndyCar overlay creates a clean and immersive viewing experience, as you are seeing on screen at the moment. It is always streamed in 1440p 60 FPS production with commentary. Velocity Online Racing will give your series the presentation it deserves. And to relive the biggest moments, we can also do your own personalized edit highlight reel. That will be able to be posted on the channel after the event, the day after, or in the coming week afterwards. And the broadcasting packages will start as low as €50 per hour. If you are interested in something along those lines, please do contact us at velocityonlineracing@gmail.com to find out all the information that you may need. But as we head back to the action on board with the Buckley-Doo machine, Rodan Eftink still in second. But actually, look at this. The lead has changed. Polak now hits the front.
Yeah, they shoot up to the lead. We have John Christensen also getting mixed up in the fight as well. So now it's a group of 5 drivers, Jack, in the lead pack.
This will make things very interesting come the next round of pit stops. Started 5th and is currently leading the way. Katie Polak is having a brilliant sort of approach to the halfway mark in this race, putting themselves where they need to be for the business end of this race. Even though we still have what we believe to be many pit stops to come, it'll be interesting to see who in this next round of pit stops will take the tyres, and will anyone be willing to take the jump, I'll say, and stay on a used set of Firestones.
And time will tell. I'm trying to do the math here, because we have people that pitted on lap, is it 6? I think that's 18. Yeah, 18. So 18 plus 18, 36 plus another 36. That's 72 laps plus 36. That's a bit short of doing it like what? Yeah, 6 stop. That would be very interesting, actually, Jack. How the strategies will pan out.
Okay, so you've done a brief calculation of the maths. So you say it's a bit short. Are we looking at just short of 5 pit stops?
So it's actually because they're doing 16 laps per or around 15 to 18 laps of fuel. So that means to do 36 laps, you need 2 stints. So that means you have at least 6 stints. Right now, even these guys, the 18 lap stints, they will be 2 laps short.
Okay, so definitely we're looking at a lot of drivers could be doing very well if we had a caution at some point later on in this race. That would basically throw the entire strategy out the window, and it would be a clean stop as there was a driver, I believe that was Dan Ench.
I mean, that's Ench, Jack.
Yeah, so I believe that was Ench coming into pit road for his 2nd stop of the day. As you can see there on the live timing, he starts dropping down the order. So that would be stop number 2 for Dan Ench, and that would be 15 laps on the nose for the number 52. And the rest of our drivers are top 3. Well, the top 2 are on 13 laps. David Strid himself is 14, so expect him down at pit road in the coming laps. And he will be joined by drivers like Mike West and Brian Bowles, although Mike West is a long way off the lead pack at the moment. So it may just be the two drivers in that sort of little mini pack. And this is where the race gets a bit confusing, Seb, where you have different packs of cars when they start overlapping in pit cycles.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, this is like cycling. You have like the escapees. Well, I think you can pretty much say now the main pack, and now you have like the other packs that are lagging behind, and unlike cycling, well, they overlap.
Especially, and you never really know what it all plays out. We've had some races here in the past where you need to wait till the dying embers of the race for the strategies to really play out, and then someone could always come out of nowhere, absolutely nowhere, and be right up there in contention for not only the win but also the top positions as well, as David Stritt now comes in. A bit of a lock-up. Hopefully he hasn't sped down pit road. Nothing is showing up on the live timing at the moment, so that was a very on the limit pit entry there for the 48 machine, knowing that he's going to have to come down pit road by himself this time and have no drafting partners in front, although that is, who's that in front of him? I believe that is for pit exit, so that won't be anywhere near him. And this is the car not going up on Jack. Seb, look at this.
It was up in the jacks.
Oh, well, I must
and
have, my eyes must have been playing tricks on me. That that eyesight test that you said, I might need to actually get that booked.
It's looking more urgent and urgent there, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah,
we are all wearing glasses here, Jack. So
as soon as I get out of my teens, I instantly start losing eyesight. This is not the way I want things to go. But anyway, we'll focus on the action. Exactly. This is Unk status well and truly getting underway now. As this is well, that was Roden Eftink out on circuit, and this is now Jason Lowe and Polak are in the pits. Ooh. And who was that just coming out? That was Polak just coming out the pits, I believe.
Yeah,
and
no one on 6-second pit stops here, Jack. So no one has decided to do a no tire change. Although for Polak, it was a shocking pit stop because of 8.9 pit stops. So they probably missed their pit box.
8.9 stopped in the box. That could have been, yeah, as you say, a horrendous pit entry, either stopping too short or too long, or maybe just a little too much wheel spin on the exit. We might be able to get a replay off that, as this is now Roden Eftink in the pole sitter for today's race, coming out just in front of his teammate John Christensen. Now this is what Roden Eftink will love to see, because he comes out in the effective lead of the race, but look at that, David Stritt speeds around the outside of the number 18, and David Stritt will now start to make the most of the speed difference as the gap goes up to north of 1 second, just about, we're edging 1 second, there it is, just over 1 second, 1.0 exactly between the two leaders, and John Christensen will need to play the team man here with Roden Eftink in the Velocity Online Racing camp to catch that number 48, because if something goes wrong and these two fight too much, Stritt could be well and away down the road.
Sweet Top Gun camera, courtesy of Julian Altena, I think. It is. But this is a very interesting situation here, Jack, because I'm wondering if maybe Dan Ench maybe blew it by doing a no tire stint, because thinking about it, maybe you'd want to have like the no tire stint being the one, like the short one, not the second one. So like, yeah, kind of confused.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised with the fact that he came in so early on, earlier than most of the field, obviously courtesy of the fact that he was leading this one from the early stages. But to not do that sort of that no tire change stint towards the end of the race and do it at the earlier stages of the race, really sort of, I can't quite understand, you know, the thought process behind it. And the only thing that comes to mind is that he may be hoping that a safety car in some shape or form sort of forces him the upper hand, as this is Ryan Bowles making a move on Jason Lowe. Now, whether these two are going to start swap drafting to catch up to Polak and Ench in front, maybe not, as Lowe looks a little bit too far behind to really make the most of things into turn number 3 as we look back to the leaders. And as we approach the halfway point, I want to go back to the people that make this happen this afternoon. And today we need to pay a special thank you to the race sponsor, which is Florida Urgent Rescue. Their mission is to save animals from kill shelters and other urgent situations, taking on tough cases, including dogs who have been hit by cars, gunshot wounds, embedded collars, cancerous tumours, and other major medical issues. They rescue senior dogs, pregnant mothers, and mothers with litters, and they focus primarily on rural shelters with limited resources, and they try to help animals who need their help the most. If that sounds appealing to you, you can find all the information that you need at www.floridaurgentrescue.org/. And to be honest with you, I myself, an owner of, what used to be 2 cats, unfortunately one of them passed away last year. We picked them up from shelters ourselves, so that is something that definitely resonates with me personally. And I think that to give to a cause like that, or at least have a look into it and clue yourself up on the things that need to happen to get these animals into recovery, is definitely worth a look at. Back to the head of the field though, Jason Strid leads the way as we approach lap number 41 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the finale of the International IndyCar League. A little bit of swerving now going on. These two were working very well together earlier on before the last pit stop, but maybe Strid thinking that he wants to maintain the lead of the race now a little bit, but he is going 2 against 1 against Roden Eftink and John Christensen, both members of the Velocity Online Racing team. And I'm sure that he knows this, and the last thing he wants will be to get caught in a 2-on-1 or a Velocity Online Racing sandwich, Seb.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I know those sandwiches are very nasty and very bad for the stomach. I've been those sandwiches before. Also noticing that Dan Ench managed to get back onto the lead pack. That's him we see kind of like farther back. So he managed to recover. So job done for him. And now if he has enough tires, then all out for him. And also noting that Jensen and Zelensky are out of this race already.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, we completely missed that. Jensen and Zelensky early outgoing from this race, and there was no caution, so I don't think there was an accident. Potentially some hardware problems or some software problems or internet issues. I know there's been a new update in iRacing as this is Zelensky into pit road.
So, yeah, I mean, stands. So yeah, because he was into the lead pack. So that may have been speeding actually, Jack. Because it did look a bit too fast in turn period. And as I said, they change how they police pit speed. Since now we have a pit limiter who is now bang on 97. It's now like, well, we're not allowing you to be as sneaky and trying to squeeze some speed out of those pit speeds. So maybe that's what happened.
Yeah, it did look like the car was still continuing to slow down a sizable distance after the pit speed line, and it sort of makes sense from that point of view. If you've got a drive-through penalty or a black flag or a penalty of some sort that needs you to make an extra pit stop compared to everyone else, when it's only 60 laps to go, it's very, very difficult to make the comeback after that. And if you've got some lovely weather on a Sunday afternoon like I do in the UK at the moment where I'm from, maybe pacing around at the back praying for a safety car or a caution period might not be what you want to do, and you might want to go and sit outside with a Corona or something and enjoy some time on the remainder of your weekend. But you know what? That's not what I would want.
The beer, right?
Swap the milk for some beer. As we look back to the lead pack of the race, David Strid is still holding on to the lead over Roden Eftink, and still making it clear that he doesn't want to relinquish that lead anytime soon. And as you say, Dan Ench is still working his way back onto the lead pack at this. He's still comfortably within the slipstream range, about 1 second back off of this lead group. And I think once you start getting more towards the 1.3 range in terms of distance from the car ahead, that's when you start to really notice the drop off in slipstream. But do correct me if I'm wrong, Seb.
Yeah, no, you're bang on right. Yeah, here with the IR18, the drag range is from 0 tenths to 1.3 seconds on the super speedway, and with that gurney flap on the rear wing, you're having sufficient amounts of drag and draft for these cars to follow each other. So I'm actually looking forward to how the final laps of this race will go on, because right now this is just a strategic race. This is just a chess style game where you need to get to the end. You need to, and someone's pitting. I think that's our Dan Ench again, Jack.
I was just about to point out, on the live timing, it says he's 15 laps into his stint, and I was expecting him to come down pit road this time, and he's just put on the global radio in the race server that he was pitting this time anyway, so that confirms any speculation about Dan Ench trying to go longer, and he commits to that strategy of pitting around 1 lap earlier. And now this time we will expect our race leader David Strid to peel off down pit road, even more so this time because he's decided to hit the front of this one and try and lead it a little bit more. As they come round turn number 4, you will see him, actually he stays out, Seb.
Say that again?
Strid stays out. I thought he would be in. This is his 15th, sorry, no, this time is his 15th lap.
I mean, we saw these guys doing 16, 17, 18 laps on the stint, so not surprised by that.
You see, this is on board with Katie Polak, who is going to make some contact with the wall, I believe, Seb.
Okay, so this is turn 4. Oh, tight.
Wee.
I hope for them it's not flow damage. If it is, they're screwed. Floor damage.
So the amount of times I've made the exact same mistake as that, and it's, as you say, it's that weird floor damage, that 0x damage that you can't get rid of. Yeah,
and that means like you will see the floor being slightly bent, and you're losing a few miles per hour in the straight as David straightens in the pits, and that just screws you because you're lacking top end speed. And when you're in the phase where you're saving fuel, that's fine, but when you're in the final laps, you're just a sitting duck. And this happened. Oh, Mike West, a black flag for Mike West.
I believe that would be another victim of the pit entry, because it looks fine from where we are, but if we... Well, I mean, he slowed it down very, very early, and it looked like he'd got everything sorted out, but did he leave it too late to put on the pit limiter, and then he was speeding by, 1 mile an hour or something? Or would it be on pit exit, do you reckon? We'll zip it through the pit stop. This is him stopped in, but he was
already
there.
Penalized there, so that was speed entering the pits.
That's really interesting. I think that might just be a slight lapse of driver concentration if you're sat there fiddling with all your pit stop values and, making sure all your tyres are ticked and how much fuel you're putting in and working out, okay, if I pit now, this is when I'm going to need to make my next pit stop. Potentially that was just a lapse of concentration and a victim to the more harsh pit entry penalties that iRacing have implemented this season. As we now look back on circuit, it's going to be the 2 Velocity Online racing cars and the 2 teammates of Eftink and Christensen that will lead the way from Polak and Strid in 3rd and 4th, and these 2 pitting slightly later, I believe, than the rest of the pack. And this will be them coming into pit road, I believe, this time, or maybe next time if they can eke it out a little bit longer.
That's very interesting. So they are pitting after lap 50. So that means if they keep doing those fuel numbers, that they could make it to the end.
Whoa, John, that was very, very aggressive. Is that going to be a black flag?
Okay, I have my eyes on the ATV timing. Right now, nothing. I think he's safe. Good lord.
My word, John Christensen, how much do you want to gamble a top 2 finish at Indy, my friend, on a pit entry? You're not going to lose the draft to Eftink in front. Whoa, that was very, very aggressive.
That's...
I would go as far to say that he is a very, very lucky man. If he had 9 lives and if he was a cat, one of his lives definitely would have vanished on that pit entry there. That looked way, way more aggressive than even Mike West. His penalty looked a lot more suspicious, and not in a bad way, in a way that, you know, it looked like he didn't speed. Compared to that, you see John Christensen locking the front axle to screech the car to a halt to make the pit speed limit in a situation where he probably didn't really need to.
Yeah, exactly, because those pit entries at Indy, they're always funky. So I always like to take with a bit of a safe approach. But again, what do I know? I always messed up my opportunities at Indy, so...
This is now riding on board live with Dan Ench in the Alzheimer's Association machine, and this is some fantastic camera angles, isn't it? The driver facing cockpit cam, courtesy of our broadcast producer, Julian Altena. He sorts all of our onboard cameras, and some of the angles that he captures are truly absolutely incredible and mind-blowing, to be honest with you. And you get the full... You don't really see this too much in sim racing, actually, how bumpy the surfaces are. You don't see live cameras of the actual drivers, so you can't see the feedback that they get through the steering wheel. But looking at their sort of avatar in the car there, their character in the car, their head bobbling around, really does go to show how uneven the surface is here at Indy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, no matter where you are, no matter the technology they use, it's still not perfect, and you may not feel everything that the drivers feel out there on track, but it's still pretty good enough. Yeah.
Especially, I think, you know, it may look like it always seems to be the way at Indianapolis. It's what seems to be 4 identical corners, but when you drive it at 230 miles an hour, my word, could they not be more different, as there's a tiny bit of contact there, a brush against the wall for John Christensen as he tries to open up turn number 4, and Eftink is going to be right behind him. Is he going to go for the swap drafting option? He's going to lift and stay behind Christensen. Okay, so this is Roland Eftink trying to make himself go a little bit longer and open up that window, because we still haven't had a caution yet, Seb. So that pit strategy that you worked out earlier on, where drivers will sort of have that sort of 2 laps of no man's land towards the end of the race, and you can see they're losing about 5 miles an hour on the lift there down into turn number 3 for Roden Eftink, letting Christensen do the dirty work. And whether Eftink will repay that to his teammate later on in the race, we are yet to see.
Yeah, right now I'm still working the numbers again, because I'm like, I must have messed up somewhere, because for me, Christensen and Eftink are pretty good. Since they... Whoa! And that's a caution, so forget of the... Is that not a caution? How is that not a caution?
No, it's a caution.
Oh,
it's a caution.
Good.
That's Jason... That's Strid, wasn't it?
That was Strid, yeah, that's him.
I'm hearing netcode on the global radio in the game server, and as we have a look at this is... Whoa! That's very bizarre. That's very bizarre. Oh. So I'm hearing that...
What the... Oh, he got... What the heck?
I'm hearing that Katie Polak was caught extremely off guard by a sudden check up there into turn number 1, and I believe that's what caused the accident. As you can see, the D-rate of the cars in front into turn number 1, and Polak there, wow!
Yeah.
Closes up way too quickly. And you can see, unfortunately, that is a massive victim of netcode. But regardless, I think that accident could have...
That would have been a crash either way. So Polak has to thank their lucky star, because normally, in real life, that car would have flown into the catch fence.
So we ride on board here with Polak. This is a slow motion replay, and you can see it does check up very early on. And look at the size of that netcode. Unfortunately for David Strid there, a victim of the internet. We'll see this at full speed, and we'll see how quickly we do actually close up. Wow, okay, yeah. You see, it looks like from our point of view, well, why doesn't Polak just press the brakes? I can assure you Polak would have been on the brake pedal there, but when you're going so quickly and so fast, and you have brakes that are not really meant for slowing down, you know, they use a different brake package here for the speedways, as we have drivers coming into the pits.
Yeah, a few drivers are coming to the pits. Others aren't, so Dan Ench stays out on track. John Christensen, Rodin Nifting, Katie Polak, Ryan Bowles, Jason Lowe are into the pits. We have 2 cars staying out.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a challenge here and try and work out what you think is going on in terms of the strategy. And while you do that, while we're under caution, I'm going to walk everyone through what we have coming up next on the Velocity Online Racing channel. Coming their way in terms of broadcast schedules. So Road America, June 16th, that is going to be the EU Soft Indy Open. That is going to be an absolute cracker. There's going to be some big names in that race, and it's going to be a street course as well. Not a street course, a road course, excuse me. And that will be an absolute cracker. We'll have some unusual names coming to the forefront in that, I'm sure. It won't be just your classic, top IndyCar names, the names that you're used to seeing on ovals coming to the front, because there are some road course specialists out there that will definitely want to make their appearance. After that, 4 days later, iRacing Indy Next Series once again at Road America. That will be the second time we visit the road course in 1 week. That will be definitely interesting. And then the International IndyCar Series gets season 31 underway on June 21st at Pocono. After that, it's going to be the VOR Indy Next Series, June 27th, Road Atlanta, another road course. We've flourished with road courses here on the Velocity Online Racing channel over the month of June. And then once again, VOR Indy Next is going to be at Phoenix on the 11th of July. So plenty of action coming your way over the next few days, let alone the next month. And in terms of season 31 action, as I said, June 21st is going to be the opener at Pocono, followed by Nashville, and then the Worldwide Technology Raceway to kick things off in June for the International IndyCar Series. Twin Ring Motegi Road Course will be the series' first visit to a road course next season, followed by Speedway Atlanta, then Daytona International Speedway. That is always going to throw up some chaos. Then we look to the second half of the season, which will be Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Iowa Speedway, Auto Club, the IMS road course instead of the oval that we are racing on today, Kentucky Speedway, and then once again Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And those red indicators there that you saw alongside the race names will be the ones that we are broadcasting here on the Velocity Online Racing channel. So make sure to keep an eye out for those if you're a big fan of international IndyCar action. Right, so with that out of the way, Seb, I've given you, I think, a reasonable amount of time to come up with what you might think is the strategy from now until the end of the race. But my maths is nowhere near good enough, so I'm going to be in your hands.
It's going to be a free start because, like, right now, World Stars will be on lap 60. So there will be, if they want to be doing a 2-stop, they will have to do 20 lap stints. We never saw that today, Jack. So that's going to be very complicated. So I feel like I'm liking where Dan Inch is. He decided to not pit, taking that track position. I mean, it's pretty much useless because they have the big draft. But I don't know. I feel like as we're getting on green, there's not much sneaky fuel saving you can do. I think it's pretty much flat out to the end of the race, Jack. And you'll have to
green
do
flag. Dan Ench takes the field back to green. Lap 60 of 100. 40 laps to go. We think it will be a 3-stop race to the checkered flag if you're going for full aggression. And if you can make the tank last 20 laps, you might be able to sneak away with a 2-stop. Dan Ench, after a rather interesting strategy call earlier on in this race to not take tyres in his first pit stop at the start of this race, finds himself back at the front of the field in his Alzheimer's Association machine. And this is the man that was unfortunately involved in the caution. This is David Strid in the 48, making his way back up through the field in 8th position at the moment, getting past the 86 machine. But back to the front, it is Ench, Tink, Christensen, Polak, Bowes, Lowe, Loverson, Strid, Ford and West, the top 10.
Now for these guys behind Dan Ench, I wonder how they will approach it. I would approach it just full song. We never see someone do 20 laps on the fuel tank. I don't think we'll be saying it right now, Jack. I mean, if we manage to see someone pitting at lap 80, 81, that would be massive. Like, look at this run.
Whoa,
look at this run.
Look at this from Jason Lowe. He's going to take 2 cars into turn number 1, and he's going to spoil the VOR party as the 2 Velocity Online Racing drivers get caught extremely off guard. They're going to go side by side through turn number 2. And it's going to be...
Whoa,
we see a car straight to the right-hand side. That's a huge accident.
It's Callum Ford, and how is that not a caution? We got a caution. I mean, I know how it is not a caution because there's no cars behind, but that should have been a caution there, Jack.
My word, he's gone way too high, smashed the wall, bang, to the inside, back to the outside, and that is...
Car's done.
That's going to be day done for Mr. Callum Ford. Unfortunately for him, a victim of getting caught out in the dirty air. But look at this. We have Jason Lowe leading the race, going from 4th to 2nd to 1st in the space of 4 corners. That's a man that is making some intent known. He spoils the Velocity Online Racing party for a brief moment. But the big loser out of this, Seb, look at Dan Ench. He's gone from 4th to 5th.
Yeah, that was to be expected on those. Still, he didn't pit it, so we'll see how it will pan out for him. I'll try to keep my eyes on his strategy. I'd say for him to have a decent shot of making it on one more stop. That would be to pit on lap 65, I would say. 65, 66.
We've got one, Dan Ench is 17 laps strong at the moment on his stint, so expect him to come into the pits in terms of to refuel in the next few laps, and he's really sort of struggling at the moment to contest with those around him. Look at everyone around him, 6 lap. That means that they pitted under the most recent caution, which means that they've got fresh Firestones underneath them, as Dan Ench there you see in the background peeling off into pit road. He is going to get his pit stop out of the way and drop to, completely on his own, I think.
Yeah, completely on his own. That's not good for him. If you want to make it on one more stop, I would say he needs to be pitting lap 82, 83. So that will be some big fuel save needed for Dan Ench. Which is maybe why you have like all these guys that pitted at a caution, because they know maybe like the finishing on a 2-stop strategy will not be working out, and right now you just need to be flowing it. Well, maybe Dan Ench is more of a saving strategy, so that would be very interesting to see.
You see one car actually get out of line a little bit in the background. That's Lovison, I think, at the rear end of this lead pack. I wonder if there's something going on there, or because he seems sort of by himself a little bit. He needs these guys to do some saving and to do some checking up so that he can tag back onto the 48 machine of David Strode, who is at the back of this train at the moment, and potentially, I would say, being a little bit more cautious now after that contact which brought out the caution. It's really interesting to see, watching on the lead pack here is extremely close together, but no one wants to take the lead away from Jason Lowe. Both of the Velocity cars want to save the fuel and want to sit behind Jason Lowe, and I think they're more than happy to do so as long as they're still together. They've got the power of a team of, working for the same brand in that of Velocity Online Racing, or the Altena Autosport team, as they're also very commonly known as, an extremely experienced team in the world of European IndyCar racing. And Jason Lowe is sort of finding himself in a 2-on-1 at the minute, as Katie Polak is bringing up the 4th position just behind Christensen, and then you've got the likes of Bowles and Strid, which rounds out this top 6 lead group.
Yeah, right now for Dan Ench, that is worst case situation.
Yeah, he's, I would say, about 4 seconds. You can see the lead pack behind him. They're going to be catching up to him very, very soon. And I think the only strategy that he can sort of prey on now is the fact that he can save enough so that he can still relatively get in the same postcode as those as the lead group once they make their pit stop, and he can pit and save, while he's essentially a lap down with 30 laps to go next time around. I think Dan Ench is he could be playing a strategy blinder here, but I think he's definitely making it hard for himself, especially with the offset that he's got and no one following him.
Yeah. Yeah, and right now, worst case scenario for him is that these guys behind, well, no, Danich, will not allow you to save fuel. Punch some air for us.
It doesn't look like that's going to be what Jason Lowe wants to do. I think he wants to lead from the front, and he's going to try and use the lapped car of Danich to maybe create a little bit more of a gap to the pack behind him. Although Danich will be on fresher tyres, albeit a heavier car, it would be interesting to see whether there is much of a pace difference between the leaders and that lapped car. But while we sort of work that out, you can see the track cameras doing a fantastic job this afternoon, courtesy of TrackCams 22. These guys have put together some fantastic packages for us, not only for the Indianapolis Motor Speedway or for Belle Isle, which I personally covered a couple of weeks ago, but every circuit that you need to be required, whether that is road, oval or dirt, TrackCams 22 can have you covered. And that is the beauty of having some good camera angles. They can really bring the race to life, and I think that they have done a fantastic job in bringing this IndyCar race to life here this afternoon. But not only that, we have a bunch of things to also say thank you to. The onboard cameras by Julian Altena, the broadcast man himself, doing a absolutely mega job with all of those cameras as Ryan Bowles comes into the pit, Seb.
Okay, so right now he will have another pit to make, so that's kind of an early pit actually, Jack, because I feel like he's still like 7 to 8 laps more into the tank. We didn't do a lot of race distance on this fuel, but you know what? I kind of dig it because you know you're not making to the end, so why not try to the undercut? I like it. So I mean, approximately that places last pit lap 88, something like that. So let's see.
Trying to roll the dice to gain some positions later on in the race. That's something that is always worth doing if you think that you quite haven't got the pace for it, or you haven't got the raw speed in your car to be able to outpace everyone else. Being able to try and play the card of the undercut could always help a little bit more. And looking where he has come out, the 25 is coming out right. Let's have a quick look. Right next to the 50... Is that the 52? No, that's the 86. So he's going to be right behind Callum Ford, which is about 2 or 3 seconds in front of what you are looking at on the live pictures, with Jason Lowe leading the way. You can see those two there, Ryan Bowles and Callum Ford, just coming out the pits. Ford had already been out on circuit for a few laps, but it was just Bowles that made the pit stop that time around, and timing that well to have somewhat of a drafting partner for at least the opening lap before the rest of the pack catches up.
Yep. Always good to have a drafting partner. Meanwhile, Jason Lowe with nearly a full second of lead to his road and everything. I still think that Jason Lowe is in the I'm full throttle, full push mindset, while you have like these other guys still trying to pull up this this two-stop strategy. Again, as I said, Jack, lap 80 would be there goes Jason Lowe.
Into the pits comes Jason Lowe. He needs to get it stopped. Make sure you get it stopped. Whoa, that looked a little bit touch and go again. I'm always skeptical and I'm always a little bit nervous when the cars come down pit road, because they always look like they're going to speed and cross that line and get a penalty. But it only seems to be that nothing yet for Jason Lowe. So that looks like a clean pit entry for him. And one thing actually I wanted to just briefly point out, Seb, is if you look at the ATVO live timing, Roden Eftink last time around in his last pit stop, 4.5 seconds stationary compared to 8.2, 8.4, 7.9 from Christensen, Polak and Strid. So Roden Eftink taking no tyres or less fuel.
I would say no tires, because if there were tires, that would have been like 8-second pit stop. Okay, Polak in the pit.
So Polak comes down pit road for this will be a precautionary stop. This will be a routine stop. This isn't going to be anything in terms of an under or overcut. That's going to be roughly exactly on time for the number 982 machine, and that now leaves Roden Eftink and John Christensen once again. The Altena Autosport cars leading this one. Not on track though. You have Dan Ench in the middle there as now the top three.
Yep. So no one can make the two-stop strategy work there, Jack. So That's going to be a drag race now. We're full throttle. No one is trying to save up fuel. So that will be very interesting where Jason Lowe comes out compared to these guys.
Well, we'll be able to find out soon enough as we're looking on... Well, we're not looking on board. We're looking at Jason Lowe as he comes round to the merge point of the pit exit. No, sorry, this is going to be pit entry. I'm losing my bearings as he now crosses the start-finish line, and we will still see those cars in the pit lane.
Interesting.
There they are.
David Grid, his pit stop was 6.4 seconds. No tires taken there.
So Jason Lowe is going to come out with a sizable lead over Rodan Eftink. I reckon it was going to eke out to around 1 second, maybe 1.1 seconds by the time they get out of turn number 4. It's at 1 second at the moment. Eftink will still have the draft, but he's going to use a little bit more fuel to close back up. But look at Christensen and Bowles and even Strid as well. The top 5 have really spread out. The top 6 even have really spread out.
Alright, so they're kind of spaced out here, Jack. We only have the top 2 very near to each other. Then we have John Christensen a bit far back. Ryan Bowles, that undercut strategy worked perfectly for him. He jumped to 4th. So we'll see. We'll be interested to see if they all bunch up again. Probably will.
I think if you were to pick a stint on which, out of the stints that have happened so far, on which stint you would want to choose to not take your tyres, I think that this one would be a pretty good shout, because with how much the pack is spread out, you won't really get affected by the lack of downforce as much as you would in the previous stints. So if you're out there and you've decided to not take tyres for this stint, and something points at potentially David Strid not taking tyres because of his pit stop being at 6.4 seconds long, that could be a very, very good call from the 48.
Yeah, again, if it comes down to a dogfight, you want to have the fresh tyres.
I could not agree more with you, Seb. I think having the fresher tyres makes or breaks your ability to be able to fight at the very sharp end of the field. And the top 3 have now closed back up. So Jason Lowe is once again having to contend with 2 VOR machines tucked right up his rear wing. And I think these 2 are still going to want to go a little bit longer towards the end of this race, because the more you can save now, if you can save 2 laps of fuel, I don't think you'll be able to in any shape or form. But if you even can save half a lap of fuel, with the margins that we're dealing with here, that can mean a whole world of difference.
Yeah, imagine that you're one of the guys that are out of tires. You have 1 more pit's coming. You want to save as much fuel as possible. To when you're pitting, you have to put the least amount of fuel as possible.
100%. I completely agree with you on that one. Ooh, a little bit of a touch on the wall, maybe.
Ooh, that was close.
John Christensen having to deal with not 1 car worth of wake in front, but he's doubling up. He's got Jason Lowe and Rodan Eftink to deal with in terms of dirty air, and you can see how much he's caught back up just with the courtesy of the double slipstream. But he's going to once again see those 2 cars drive a little bit further into the distance through the corners with the lack of front end grip that he'll have aboard that 44 machine. And you need to be careful with tyre wear. It doesn't seem to be too much of an issue so far this race, but especially if you're on the older tyres and you're in a position where Christensen is following 2 cars pretty closely, that's the last place that you want to be on old tyres.
Yeah, exactly. And for Dan Edge, that's going to be very complicated to go to the end with these on these conditions.
But so far, everything at the front seems relatively maintained. We're sort of running down the laps here. Lap 83 of 100, coming up to 15 to go. And this is where the drivers are sort of getting themselves into positions where they can think, okay, how can I win this race from here? I've got myself into this place now over the last 83 laps. Now the biggest 15 laps of the race is coming up. How do I get myself from where I am now to crossing that yard of bricks first.
Okay, so I may have maybe an example or like maybe a beginning of an answer. Coming out of turn 2 in second position and making your move in turn 3.
I think that always seems to be the place to make the move. I've seen a lot of, swap for positions down that back straight into those last 2 corners. And once you sort of get past into turns 3 and 4, the gap that you build from the other car, you know, having to deal with the dirty air.
Oh, here comes Christensen.
He was having a look, wasn't he? John Christensen thinking about making a move just before they head into the pits for the final time. This is going to be 15 to go once we cross the line. So we've got 15 laps to decide how things are going to be sorted out here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. At the moment, it looks like we've got 3 clear contenders, but God knows what happens if these guys start fighting. That will bring Ryan Bowles, Strid, and potentially even Polak right back into this fight, and going from a 3-way fight for the win to a 6-way fight for the win is definitely what we want up here in the commentary booth. But down there on the circuit behind the wheels of these IR18s, I'm sure that the top 3 will want to keep it exactly how it is.
Yeah, so this is why maybe you've not seen them attack as much, because already they're very well placed. As I said, that
Christensen to the inside.
Hard run he had. But
he's having a look, isn't he? He really wants to get a move on. I think he's starting to sort of practice the moves that he wants to do inside of 10 or 5 to go, giving Eftink something more to worry about.
And
as I believe...
Here comes the other cars, Jack.
They're sort of catching back up, aren't they? And I believe I saw a call from Jason Lowe. I don't know if it was to pit this time by, but watch that car at the lead of this train. Does he peel to the left-hand side? Yes, he does. So Jason Lowe dives to the left of the pit wall, gets it stopped. Looks a little bit too fast, but he's alongside. Who's that alongside him? That's going to be Eftink as well. So it was a last of the late breakers into pit road. I'm not seeing anything on my timing screen about a penalty.
No.
That looked about as on the limit as it could possibly be, but we'll be able to confirm it for you as soon as these drivers stop in the pit boxes. Will Lowe be okay?
The other cars, they're not up on the jacks. And you see, Roddy Niftik, he didn't take tires, and he exited out ahead.
So Eftink doesn't take tyres. Jason Lowe does take tyres. It's going to be, can Eftink make the most of his Firestones with 10 laps to go? Can he fend off a hard charging Jason Lowe, who is going to be hunting him down regardless? If you look at live pictures now, this is John Christensen, another contender in the top 3, with Ryan Bowles right behind him. Ryan Bowles with a big lockup. I think he might have missed his pit box step. I might have seen him reverse again. Ryan Bowles once again, I believe. This isn't the first time he's missed his pit box, and look at that. Look at the gap that he's actually lost out to with John Christensen. He's almost going to lose a place to, I believe that is Strid as well, but he's going to just about stay in front of Strid, and now the action really kicks off, Seb.
Yeah, but the good for Bolt is that he has a partner to draft, and he's not that far from John Christensen, so it's not that bad for him. It's no race over, as we have Lovison in the lead. Now he's spitting, so at least that's a lead point for him.
Lovison will get his 1 lap for leading, 1 point, for leading a lap of this race in the number 9. He's been hanging about on the back of the lead pack, but never really managed to get himself in the mix, really, in that number 9 Honda. 2 laps led today, so he does get the point 100%. As you see, the lead has now come past. It's going to be Eftink, Lowe, from Christensen, from Bowles, from Strid, from Polak, from Ench, the top 8.
Now interesting, because these guys back there, Christensen, he's 2 seconds back from the lead pack. You have the rest of the field that is at least 5 seconds away from the top 2. So that will be directly a fight between Eftink and Lowe. But if they fight too hard, Christensen may sneak this. So the top 3, they will fight for the lead. The rest, well, just for the honorary position there, Jack.
I think the base that you want to be at the moment is in that 3rd position. I'm liking the position that John Christensen has put himself in. As we look back from Lowe, this is our race leader. again from the onboard cameras of Julian Altena.
Look at this. Look at the impact of the draft. So that's comparable to what we see in real life, Jack.
F-Tink to the inside. He's going to snatch the lead back from Jason Lowe into turn number 3, lap number 90, going with 9 laps to go. This is going to be a fantastic finale to a fantastic season finale here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We thought it was 3 for the win. It still can be 3 for the win. But Jason Lowe to the inside of turn number 1 goes, no thank you, sunshine. I want to lead this one with 10 to go.
So that's 25 miles, Jack, to run here. And Christensen is now back on. He's in the drafts. So that will be very interesting because he'll have all the momentum. So watch out for that number 44 machine as F-Tink again got passed by Lowe. And I think we're going to be seeing this every lap until the end, Jack.
This could be a sense of these guys trying to make it a 2-horse race, and well, the team orders at the Altena Autosport camp might be going completely out the window, but Christensen is still hanging there looking very good in that 3rd position. He's going to be the one to look to pick up the pieces, and quite often if you can time the run right as the car in the third place in this sense, or 3rd in the queue, you can sneak up the inside while these two are too busy fighting over themselves as F-Tink once again looks to the inside. I think you're right, Seb. This is going to be a bit of swap drafting that really isn't going anywhere because Christensen is now tucked right back under the rear wing of Jason Lowe in 2nd.
Yeah, very interesting quick tidbits is now Lowe is making passes over the front stretch before the out of brakes. So that will be very interesting to see. Now we got to also take into account where do they use the hybrid. The management of the hybrid will be crucial to get those extra miles per hour to Jack to counter the draft or to get the little push you need for a win at Indianapolis and a bottle of milk.
It's going to be a race of calculations and science. It's not only about timing the run of when you need to pull back into the slipstream or where you need to let the other car pass to find your way back through. And I believe that's exactly what Jason Lowe is practicing now to the higher side in the slipstream of our race leader.
I thought Christensen was trying to make a move on the inside of Ford, but here he goes. And
John Christensen looks to the 2nd place and actually looks for the lead, and John Christensen hits the lead in the 44 Nation machine with 7 to go for the first time this afternoon. He now thinks that he's got what it takes to lead this pack to the checkered flag. The number 44 Chevy is going to make this an Altena Autosport 1-2 for the time being. But Roland F-Tink says, thank you very much, lad. I'm going to take this one back. You've had your moment of glory. You've led for about 2 corners. I want to lead for 2 corners more.
And we're going to be seeing this all the way through the end, Jack.
We're going to be seeing this 100%. They're going to keep swapping places. And look where they make the overlap. Like you very well pointed out, if they're overlapping and swapping places before the yard of bricks and before that finish line, the driver that is obviously going to be behind at that point in time needs to think about how they're going to go about it, because if they don't do anything, nothing's going to change and they're going to lose it literally in the most heartbreaking way possible.
A la Malukas.
Exactly. We had a real life example of that well too recently, and you can see here the 2 Altena Autosport machines battling it out at the top of the table once again. At what point, Seb, do you say, okay, team orders are completely out of the question now, I want to win this?
Hang on. Hey, Julian, do you have team orders at Altena Autosports?
The answer is never.
No team orders, never team orders.
So this is going to be an absolutely grand stand finish. These 3 are 3 seconds ahead of Ryan Bowles, and Jason Lowe has been demoted to the 3rd place with 5 laps to go. This last 5 laps is going to made to be look absolutely fantastic, and it's all thanks to the courtesy of our partners here at Velocity Online Racing, Trackcams 22, the Andrew Schultz SKF Graphics IndyCar TV overlay, the broadcast production by the man himself, Julian Altena, ATVO live timing by App Engineering, as we see once again they're going to swap for the lead into turn number 1, and then of course the man on the board himself, Julian Altena, behind the scenes on the broadcast, bringing us this thrilling last 4 laps of season 30 for the IndyCar International IndyCar League.
And Jason Lowe has been very, very quiet ever since Christensen made the bonsai 241 special in turn 1. So where will we start making his move? We see he's getting high in turn 4, you know, getting maybe that clean air. Look at this. Here he goes. 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide for the lead. It's going to be Jason Lowe that wants to take the inside line to turn number 1, and he's going to do exactly that. The 004 machine is going to look to take the lead. He's side by side at the moment with the 44 Nation John Christensen Chevy. Can he keep the lead? It's going to be a complete dead heat drag race, but look at this. Ronan Efting to the inside of turn number 3. He's going to say, well, you guys are squabbling over the side draft. I'm going to get the draft and mug
caution!
But the
no
caution
way!
comes out.
Are you kidding me? Katie Pollock. Oh, that's a sucky way to end this race, Jack.
Katie Polak brings out the caution for the second time this afternoon. We're going to get a live replay of this, Seb. You need to walk us through this.
Okay, so coming to the front stretch, they look to be alone here.
It's going to be contact with the wall. Yeah.
How the hell is this a caution when we had also a car earlier into the race which didn't cause a caution? That's just iRacing being terrible again, and iRacing robbed us of a good finish there.
I think I think that comes from slight frustration because Polak was right up there and right in contention for a very, very strong result here this afternoon. But I think once you've realised that it's sort of slipping away with 3 or 4 laps to go, you start pushing the boundaries a little bit too much, and then unfortunately contact with the wall takes Polak clean out of this one right at the dying moments.
Yeah, and as you see, the pace car lights are still on, so that means we will be ending this under caution.
You know what I would love? I would love if we had some live stewards that goes, you know what? Cars off the circuit. Let's do a crazy last lap banzai shootout. 4 corners. Let's have it.
Yeah. Yeah, white flag.
Anyway, it's going to be the white flag that comes around this time by, and well, it really has been a spectacle to behold. I mean, quite the grandstand finish. Unfortunately, we were denied the final run to the flag, but regardless, those sort of last 10, 15 laps were truly impressive when these guys were going side by side, 3 wide into corners, constantly changing positions and organising themselves so that they give themselves the best opportunity to cross the line in the first place. And it's almost like an orchestrated dance of science, isn't it?
It kind of is. It kind of is.
Fortunately,
I can't imagine how frustrating it must be for Christensen and Lowe, where they're just like, okay, well, now we're in this fight, and then you just lose because someone has decided to wreck out of frustration for just like favorite sticks. So that's pretty heartbreaking for them.
I think we all sort of feel the emotion that must be going through those drivers at the moment, because they were both definitely in contention in taking the win, and unfortunately the time where the caution came out could have been anyone's. Could have been absolutely anyone's. It was a complete roll of the dice. No one knows when a caution is going to come out, which is why they were, I believe, swapping the lead so many times. So when the caution did come out, it came in favour of one man, and that man is currently leading the way to the checker flag. The number 18 machine, Ronan Efting, he started on the pole, but my God, did he not lead every single lap. It's been a lead and a race that has been changed leaders many, many times, but it's going to be Ronan Efting that wins the finale here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's going to be a 1-2 for Altena Autosport, and I'm sure the broadcast man is going to be happy with that one. 28 laps led out of the 100 today for Ronan Efting. It's going to be a win that I'm sure he's going to be most pleased with.
He will be. He will definitely be.
I think there may be some slight dampening on the celebrations, though, considering the fact that he may not have won it in the way that he would have wanted to, but regardless, you can't take away a win nonetheless, especially to finish out the season. And at Indy, it always makes it that little bit more special.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win. At Indy, a win's a win, so no issues there.
as he's now going to follow the pace car round to the front stretch, where I'm sure we will be greeted with lots of loud engine noises, rev limiter bashing, and tyre smoke from today's race winner.
Well, all right.
Once the while we see Roden making his way over to the checkered flag area and the yard of bricks to do his celebrations, you can have a quick look in the bottom right of your screen, and we've got lots of fancy action coming your way, be it from the EU Soft Indy Open, iRacing Indy Next Series, International IndyCar Series, and the VOR Indy Next Series, all to come in the month of June. But the attention goes back now to the number 18 as he approaches the yard of bricks for his celebrations. Or lack thereof. Is he just posing for the photo, or are we going to get some donuts here, Roden? What's the plan? Or is he running out of fuel?
I see him already being in the interview waiting room there.
So maybe he's just decided to get some photo opportunity rather than destroy his set of Michelin tires. But we've got the race winner.
Michelin tires.
Not Michelin, sorry, Firestone tires. Do excuse me. So we have the race winner now with us in the commentary booth. Roden Eftink, what a last 15 laps. I'm sure it's not the way you wanted to take home the win nonetheless, but I mean, a win at Indy is a win at Indy, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a double feeling, because I won it last season as well. We were racing until the end, which was more fun, and I really think John and David, who was that? Jason really had a chance there in the end. So, of course, it's nice to win in Indianapolis. It's just the way, like this, it's different, to be honest.
And we saw the two Velocity cars were side by side. Well, not side by side, but one behind the other for a lot of that race. Was there some team strategy going into this one?
If I'm being honest, no. I didn't even speak to John, so we were just fuel saving all race to have the advantage at the end, which worked out, as you could see. We were both still fighting for the win until the end. So no teamwork, just amazing strategy by both of us, I think, to get here in the end.
Well, Seb, is there anything you want to ask our race winner today?
I wanted to ask about like tires, because you had a couple of pit stops where you didn't take tires. How many tires did you have at your disposal today, and how did that play a part in your strategy?
Yeah, so same thing. I don't know how many tires we had, but in this league, the fuel cells are only filled up to like 66%, I think, which means you have tires left on the end of your stint, and track temp is like 20 degrees as well. So most of the times you don't really need to take tires. So that was my plan all along, to just in the end make sure you have. Maybe have to stop for like 5 laps of fuel, maybe 10 laps of fuel, and don't take any tires, so you're ahead of the guys behind you. But then Jason chose to go in a different strategy, so I had to pit with him to not get left behind. Tire-wise, it was interesting. But towards the end, I think the guys behind us, so like David and that group and Ryan Bowles, I think they did take tires, I hope, because they were 3 seconds behind us, and that's kind of what gave us the fight for the win in the end with just the 3 of us, because we had that gap to the guys behind. So I think that's just amazing strategy by John and myself, then of course, and Jason as well, for going on an alternative strategy, I think, or at least a bit different from what everybody else was doing. Overall, just clean race. It's just waiting until that last couple of laps so you can where you can really go. But of course, don't make a mistake on pit lane, which I did on my second stop, I think. But luckily, it didn't screw my race over.
Okay, that's good for me.
All right, so just before we let you go, Roden, I know it's the end of the season. Will we see you back here in the International IndyCar League for season 31?
I'm not sure if I'm going to do a full season, but I really hope they get my home race in the schedule next year. So Zandvoort, I'm not sure if the schedule's already made. It's already made schedule. Okay, that's it. Yeah. Well, yeah. In that case, I'll see what races I'm gonna do next year. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do every race because it's quite an unfortunate time. I had to miss a couple of other things as well today to do this one, so I'm not sure. I'll be back, but I'm not sure for how many races.
Okay, well, seeing you back on the grid will always be a welcome sight to see with the talent, obviously, that you have. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank? Team sponsors, team members?
Well, just everyone in the league again. So that's Jason Lowe for hosting the league, David Stritt for the setups, Mike West for doing the stewarding part, everyone that races every week in, week out, because that's being here every week. That's a pretty big achievement, I think. every week at this time is interesting, and overall, just yeah. I mean, although we didn't work together, John and myself, I think we as a team we did a great job. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, so that was Rodan Eftink, winner of today's race and season finale here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And while we sort of get the results up here for you, I think that was quite a fantastic end to a season, don't you think, Seb? I think that it was a rather interesting. Although we did get sort of denied a grandstand finish, but it was one to definitely remember for sure.
Yeah, it was a very interesting race. So yeah, the race was pretty good all over. We have like a few exciting moments. But again, I'm still like, I feel like yeah, the ending is very disappointing, and I'm kind of sad we didn't get a full drag race to the finish line. But hey, I'd rather have this than have whatever they trying to do the one lap shootout and making it kind of like weird.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But now we'll get the results up for the round 13 and the season finale of the International IndyCar League. And it's going to be Rodan Eftink in the Chevy that takes the win ahead of his teammate John Christensen and Jason Lowe rounding out the top three. It's going to be David Stritt in the 48 with Ryan Bowles, Rick Loverson, Dan Ench rounding out the top 7, Callum Ford, Katie Polak and Mike West rounding out the top 10. And then
the second part of the standings, 11th place will belong to Mike Jensen, and as a DNF we had David Zielinski and Danny Olt. Danny Olt, I think, did not start this race today, Jack.
Well then, that is going to round things out in terms of season 30 for the International IndyCar League. And just before we do, I want to thank everyone that has made this possible, from the ATVO live timing by App Engineering, track cameras by TrackCams22, Julian Altena for the onboard cameras, then Andrew Short of SKS Graphics for the custom IndyCar TV overlay, and then of course the entire team at the Velocity Online Racing channel. That has been everything from us so far, and we look forward to seeing you at Pocono for the next dose of International IndyCar League action. My name is Jack James. Alongside me has been Sebastien Kinder, and Julian Altena has been the broadcast director for today. That's all from us though, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.